welcome to our fat loss health coaching lunch and learn here. I'm Becca Senick, and before we hop into our main topic, I'd like to give you just a brief summary about myself as it relates to fat loss. I've been an athlete my entire life. I played softball and rugby in college, and like many of us who played sports in high school or college, I had no idea that I couldn't eat the same way after college as I did, before. I fast forward 10 years and I was 50 pounds heavier than I was at the end of my senior year in college. And here's the thing, my career involved helping other people have the best quality of life as possible. So, I worked since college as a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, a health coach, recreation therapist, just to name a few. So it was pretty difficult for me to swallow that I could help all of these people lose fat and reach their health goals while I was neglecting myself in the process. So I started to experiment with developing an easy method that anyone can follow to lose fat, including my busy self. And so was born my 5-step fat loss process. Following this process, I was able to lose 30 pounds in 9 months. The best news is that it's a universal process that will work for anyone. So I'm excited to be here today with you to teach you my 5 steps to fat loss, as well as talk about the health coaching program. So our agenda today, during the next 30 minutes or so, this is what we're going to cover. I'm going to tell you what flexible dieting is. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about health coaching. I'm going to go over my 5 steps to fat loss, and I'm going to dive deep into step number 1 for you today. And then we'll talk about how and when to sign up for health coaching. And we'll even offer a surprise bonus to those of you who do sign up. So let's dive in. So what is flexible dieting? Simply put, flexible dieting allows you to eat the foods you love in moderation within your macronutrients. Macronutrients are the protein, carbohydrates, and fat that you eat. So with flexible dieting and working with a health coach like me, we can determine a set amount of each macronutrient that you need in order to help you reach whatever goal you have. And essentially, you will track the foods you eat every day to ensure you stay within those set macronutrients. So here's an example for you. On Sunday, I was having one of those days where I was craving chocolate. Like that's all I wanted to eat. So I can't just eat chocolate all day. But what I did do is plan ahead, and I planned around my craving. So I'll get into how to plan in a little bit. But for now, what I will tell you is that in the morning, I plan to eat a lava cake from Makuni's restaurant later in the day. It was the only thing I could think about for whatever reason. So that meant that I needed to eat less carbs and fat for my breakfast, because eating my usual 3 eggs and a tortilla plus the lava cake would not fit into my set macronutrients. So because I am strategic and I implement flexible dieting, I was able to satisfy my craving for chocolate and continue to strive toward my fat loss goal. Now, because there is that flexibility with flexible dieting, it helps to create a positive and healthy relationship with food. What I mean by that is this. With your typical restrictive diets for fat loss, you are prevented from eating particular foods. And those foods are thought of as good or bad or right and wrong. And when we are feeling hungry, or maybe some of us stress eat and we choose those restricted foods to help us feel better for one reason or another, then we often have a sense of regret or guilt afterwards. Over time, this creates a negative relationship with yourself and with food. In flexible dieting, the idea is that you will work towards your health goal one day at a time and within a reasonable time frame. Going too fast too soon, like in many restrictive diets, may get you closer to your goal more quickly, but oftentimes it also leads to maintaining your goal for less time. We often see that mostly with rapid fat loss diets that restrict carbohydrate intake. So with these diets, yes, you do lose weight rapidly, but pretty quickly your body either fights back because it's starving, or carbohydrates are reincorporated back into your diet rapidly, and then the total calories you're eating causes weight gain again. And thus that cycle of weight loss and gain and loss and gain just continues. But with flexible dieting for fat loss, if consistently followed, it will result in a downward trend in weight. So why it's critical for health coaching right now? I'd bet after 14 months or so of being in the environment that we're in, i.e. a pandemic, it's probably safe to say that each one of us has been impacted by COVID-19, either directly or indirectly. Even just the mere fact that some of us still don't have our quote unquote normal routines back that we had prior to this pandemic can definitely be considered as having an impact on us. I think we can all agree that whether it's anxiety surrounding working from home or having to go into work and interacting with people who may or may not have been exposed to the virus, or whether it's still the stress of schooling our kids at home or sending them back to school where they could be exposed, or the psychological stress of not having our physical outlets, like being able to exercise like we did before, or having to be strategic about when we go to the gyms now because we might have to wait in line for 20 minutes to get in. Maybe it's the pause we've had to put on our personal goals because, frankly, our energy has been needed to be put towards surviving and helping others survive. Whatever and however each of us has been impacted this last year, I think it's fair to say that there's a clear need to stop, take a breath, and rechannel our energy onto the health goals we want to achieve. Or just put energy towards trying to figure out what health goals we might even have. For some of us, we can see a clear connection between the environments we have been living in and the lack of energy and focus on our health goals. And for those of you who have been able to maintain your energy in working towards your health goals, or maybe you refocused back onto your health goals at some point over the last year, great work. It really doesn't matter what category you fall into. Health coaching can provide you with the accountability, encouragement, discovery, focus, or whatever you might be looking for, even if it's just a pat on the back each week. So having said all of that, what is health coaching? Coaching is about a relationship between you and your health coach to create a healthy life that you want. It holds you accountable to make those changes. So action on your part is absolutely key. Coaching doesn't necessarily show you anything new. Usually, we already know what we need to do, but coaching can give you a different outlook. It can give you a different outlook in terms of seeing the world and yourself differently. This health coaching program is confidential. It is non-judgmental. It does raise awareness, and it's also not advice, counseling, or therapy. So my coaching philosophy is that everyone needs some guidance or reminders and an accountability partner every once in a while. It's my belief that you probably know what you want to accomplish for the most part and are seeking my assistance to just simply boost you in the direction you want to go in. At the end of the day, I'm here for you. And whether you know it yet or not, you're actually in the driver's seat and have the power to achieve the goals that you may have. Now is the time to sign up for health coaching because I can only take about 50 people right now. And until I get that first group rolling and settled into routine, if time permits, I might be able to take another handful, but right now I'm not quite sure. So it's best if you're interested to jump on board now. All right. How to lose fat. Here are my 5 steps to fat loss. This is the good stuff. So some of you might be in a place where you just don't know what to do anymore to hit your fat loss goals. Some of you may not even know where to start. Some of you might be doing great and you're just here to see if you learn something new. Whatever the case may be for you, I'm here to tell you some good news and some bad news. I'll start with the bad. The bad news is this: there is no secret, and there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Though there is some basic science that works, it's still a game of trial and error because everybody is different. To further complicate things, your body is going to change depending on your stress level, how much sleep you're getting, if you're exercising or not, your age, your gender, your hormones, any medical conditions you might have, and so on. So that's the bad news. The good news is that I love the challenge that this brings. There is a solution out there that will work best for you, and I can find it, and so can you. The other good news is that I'm going to tell you the 5 steps that my private nutrition clients follow, and I also follow this process. So here are my 5 steps. Step number 1, track your food for 1 week. Step number 2, identify and commit to your primary goal. Step number 3, determine your macronutrients. Step number 4, check in every week until your goal is met. And step number 5, maintain your progress and or repeat the steps. So let's get into step number 1. The first thing we need to do is talk about why we do this step. Tracking your food is by far the best way to get an accurate idea of what foods we are eating, when we're eating those foods, and how much. Oftentimes, if we have not tracked our food before, or even if we have, like in my case, I am a horrible estimator of the amount of food I'm eating. It's difficult to gauge precisely how much we are eating. And I find that people mostly fall into 2 categories. One category is for the people who overeat, and the other category is for the people who undereat. So this first week in step number 1 is not designed to make any changes to what you're doing. It is specifically designed to paint a picture of what is actually happening. Now, some of us might be tempted to try to choose what we think are better food choices during this week, because if you have a health coach like me, you'll know that I will ultimately be seeing what you were eating. But please, please remember, I am not here to judge you in any way. In fact, I want to know what foods you typically select, and also which macronutrient you tend to choose over the others. When you and me move to step number 2, which is identifying your macronutrients, that's step number 3. The last thing we want to do is, for example, choose a higher fat content macronutrient profile if you are actually currently naturally choosing foods that have a lower fat content. So I want to set you up for success, not make rapid, drastic changes. It's also helpful for me to see what you're eating if you follow a specific diet like keto or paleo or the zone or Weight Watchers, for example, so that I can get an idea of what you may have learned in the past. So the point is, during this first week, be as honest and consistent as possible. This is a step where I truly get to learn you right now, not the you that you think you should be. Okay. Secondly, you're going to need to sign up for a free account with MyFitnessPal. There are other tracking programs out there, but this is the one that I prefer for my clients. In addition, in MyFitnessPal, you can set a code for me to view your food logs if you so choose. This is helpful for me for when you have questions about what you're eating, and it also helps me formulate a plan. Should you hit a plateau at any point. I'll also look at it too if you're expressing that you're constantly hungry, or maybe your sleep is being affected. So it's very useful. Now, for MyFitnessPal, there is a paid version that allows you to set your macronutrients exactly, but this is not necessary for you to do for me. The third thing for this step is to either buy a food scale or make the choice that you're going to estimate your food. The best way to be precise in tracking your food is to weigh your food. Food scales are on the cheaper side these days. My recommendation is that if you choose to purchase a food scale, to buy one that is rechargeable, not one that you have to replace batteries for. I've had both. And for the scales that utilize batteries, if my battery dies and I don't have any on hand, I tend to freak out a little bit, because then I can't weigh my food anymore until I get another battery. The rechargeable food scale that I have right now, I bought on Amazon for less than $15, and towards the end of its energy level, the numbers start to scramble. So I know I need to charge it. And then within a minute, it's charging and I can use it again. So it's very convenient. Now, I know the thought of weighing your food for some of you is completely overwhelming and daunting. If you have never done it before, please know I completely understand. And also, if you have a really busy schedule, please know I also understand. But also know that thousands of people weigh their food every single day. They make it work. There are ways to work around this, whatever your barrier might be, like prepping your food once or twice a week, for example. You can also choose recurring foods that you eat throughout the week, so you already know how much they weigh, or at least pretty close to how much they weigh. For me, I've weighed my food for so long that it's just a part of my daily routine, and it doesn't take too much time out of my day to do. Once you get used to it, it's really quite simple and easy. Two benefits to using a food scale are: one, the more accurate you are in the amount of food you are consuming, the more it helps in determining when a change to your macronutrients is needed. And two, oftentimes food labels are inaccurate. So, for example, if the food label says 14 almonds is a serving size, and they say that 14 almonds weighs 14 grams, and that has such and such amount of fat, if you actually weigh the 14 almonds, they might weigh 18 grams instead of 14 grams, which can significantly impact meeting your fat macronutrient that day. If, say, 5 out of the 10 foods you estimated, because you're not using food scale, actually had more fat than what they estimated on the label. But if you are not a fan of weighing your food on the scale, there is an option of estimating portion sizes. I'll show you that on the next slide. If this is truly something you feel like you would rather do instead of weighing your food, then we can work together to ensure you understand how to estimate portions. And number 4, try to be as consistent as possible when you are tracking. Try not to miss a meal or a day of tracking. This week, the first week should be used to start to establish a routine that works well for you. When I first started tracking my food, I would actually plan my days ahead of time to ensure I met my macros. So for example, the night before, I would input all of the foods and amounts of the foods I was going to eat the next day. Eventually, after doing this for a few weeks, I started to learn the composition of different foods. And now I don't need to plan ahead unless I'm going to splurge like the lava cake from Macouni's. And eventually this will be true for you too. You'll also start to learn what macronutrients are in what foods, even if you haven't ever eaten that food before. But like I said, use this week to play around with different routines that might work for you. All right, so here is the estimating portion sizes image from the company I'm certified by for nutrition coaching. The company is called Working Against Gravity. This is a great tool to use, like I said, if you don't want to buy a food scale or you don't want to weigh your food. And your hands are a tool you can bring with you anywhere you go. So even if you do choose to weigh your food, this guide is a great tool for when you go out to eat, or if your food doesn't have a food label, like it's a baked good from a friend or something like that. Okay, on the screen now is a real example of my food log in MyFitnessPal from this past Friday. My macronutrients right now are 145 grams of protein, 170 grams of carbohydrates, and 55 grams of fat. Now remember how I said that everybody's body is different? Well, after I lost 30 pounds in 9 months, I continued to eat in about a 200 calorie deficit. Don't worry about all this math. That's my job. But just for this example, I want to show you. So 200 calories is not a huge deficit, which is a plus to flexible dieting, by the way. But what happened was I plateaued all of a sudden for like 3 weeks. And then I started to get really, really hungry on some days. This was an indicator for me that I needed to make some changes because being really hungry probably meant I was not eating enough. After adding some carbohydrates and fats slowly over the course of about 3 weeks, I finally have found my sweet spot again, where I'm no longer hungry and I'm starting to slowly lose fat again. It sounds a bit backwards, but our bodies are truly amazing machines. And once we figure out what works best for ourselves, It really is endless in terms of meeting the fat loss goals we have. It just takes some trial and error and some patience sometimes. I still have about 10 more pounds I want to lose, but I have to give my body what it needs in order to do so. Simply adding in some extra fuel has kicked it back into gear, and I'm on my way to dropping the remaining 10 pounds. When I was feeling hungry consistently, my body started fighting back and causing my weight to plateau. So yeah, it's difficult sometimes, but remember, a fat loss journey is not a rapid process. Think about how long it takes to gain weight. My guess is for you, depending on how much fat you want to lose, it probably took you at least 6 months to gain, if not years and years and years. So it's realistic that it'll probably take you a little while to lose that fat. And on average, in a healthy caloric deficit, an adult woman typically loses about 0.6 pounds of fat per week, and an adult man typically loses about 0.8 pounds per week. I want to emphasize a healthy deficit because slow and steady wins this race long term. So I want to talk a little bit more about what the health coaching program is. So first and foremost, it's exclusively for you as employees. The program is set up such that your first session with me will be about 15 to 30 minutes via a phone call or a video call. And then thereafter, you will send me weekly check-ins via email or text for hopefully at least 3 months. Also, when I respond, there will be some homework assignments for the first few sessions. So to sign up, just email the email address displayed here. Make sure to use the subject line Fat Loss Health Coach and indicate your best contact information, keeping in mind that I will probably contact you outside of regular business hours. I'll display this email address several more times in this presentation. So if you haven't gotten it down right now, don't worry. So some of you might be wondering how the health coaching coincides with the fat loss coaching. Health coaching can really focus on any part of your health. So my guess, because this is a lunch and learn about fat loss, is that most of you would like to lose some fat or at least interested in learning about how to lose fat. But there are also other areas of your health that you might want to focus some energy on addressing. So when you check in with me each week via email or text, I will respond to your check-in and also provide you with some information about how to determine the most important dimensions of your life and help you determine if your energy is going towards those areas. I'll walk you through how to develop a complete list of actions you want to take by helping you identify your current goals and the current projects you're working on, and help you narrow down your goals in order to select your one goal to work on for the next 6 to 12 months. Lastly, I will send you a method to use to help ensure that you are working towards your one goal every single day by tackling your most important tasks. And those are the main focus areas of the health coaching program. I can't emphasize enough the importance of telling that voice inside your head to stop doubting that you can't do this, and to instead make the decision to sign up. Getting started is truly the easiest part. And after that, I will be right beside you the entire time. Don't wait too long to jump in with both feet, because you'll talk yourself out of it. So on the screen, what it says here is, do make the decision to make a change and gain back control of your fat loss journey. Sign up today. Decide whether you are going to weigh your food or if you would prefer to just do portions, estimate your portions. And then you can actually start tracking your food right now if you wanted to. Don't wait too long. Every day that you wait is one more day that you're going to have to reverse. Don't doubt your ability to do this. Remember, thousands of people do this every single day. And please don't hesitate to ask any follow-up questions. There will be some time at the end here to ask some questions, and then you can also email Janelle if you have any questions. My guarantee to you is that if you follow this health coaching program, and you follow my 5 steps to fat loss, that you will start making progress towards your fat loss goal in just a matter of a few weeks. So let's talk a little bit more about signing up and what this actually looks like, what this means for you. So after you sign up, I will contact you in the order that signups occur. Now, listen carefully. If you are one of the first 5 people who sign up today, you will have the opportunity to have your first session tonight with me. Just email the address listed here with your best contact information. I will respond back to you by 5 p.m. later today if you were one of the first 5 to sign up. So please take note of the available time slots here starting at 7 p.m. As an added incentive to be one of the first 5 to sign up, you will receive a surprise bonus item. I will share that one on the next slide. Now, don't worry if you're not one of the first 5 to sign up. I will contact you within the next few days to give you some options for times to meet in the near future. So are you ready to see what your surprise bonus item is? I know Janelle's really excited to share this with you. So here we go.
I
Dun, dun, dun. All right. First 5 people who sign up will receive an insulated lunchbox. And for everyone else who signs up for the health coaching program, after the first 5, you will be entered on a weekly basis into a drawing to get this same lunchbox.
Whoop, whoop. Can you see it? And I'll open it up. It's insulated. It has a little piece that goes in the bottom to keep it sturdy. It can sit down. You can kind of tell how big it is by it next to me. It's kind of handy, the insulation. I had my lunch in it earlier. I could carry some other stuff in it as well. It's a nice little bag. And of course, it says UC Living Fit Forever.
Yay. All right. So if it sounds like I'm emphasizing urgency to sign up, it's because I am. If you're pumped about jumping into this, remember, don't wait. The sooner you sign up, the sooner you and I can meet to get you past step 1 and into step 2. And then within a week, you'll be into step 3. And then you're ready to tackle step 4, which is the meat and potatoes of the program. And all of that you can accomplish within just a few weeks. So like I said, if you're one of the first 5 people, we'll meet today, tonight. But also, if you're not, I'll reach out to you to schedule your time to meet for your first session on the screen here. The first 6 to 20 people will meet sometime within May 26th to June 4th. And then after 20 people, we'll meet sometime between June 5th and June 20th. So if you want to sign up, email that email address right there. Make sure to put the subject as Fat Loss Health Coach, and then also include the best way for me to contact you, especially after business hours. Okay, quick review here on the screen. There's the 5 steps to my fat loss program. There's the health coaching program outcomes. And I'd like to open it up for some questions now, if there are any out there.
All right, so we do have some questions. I'm doing my best to answer them via chat, but I want to give you the opportunity to answer them just in case you have anything more you'd like to include.
Sure.
So this first question is about, is this for any employee? This program, as well as any portion of UC Living Fit Forever, are for UC Davis and UC Davis Health staff, faculty, and students. So maybe you're not staff, maybe you're faculty, maybe you're a student and you're wondering if you can join. Yes, you can. This is a free program. Every portion of UC Living Fit Forever, no matter what we do, is free for staff, faculty, and students. And the second question was, do people need to be enrolled in UC Living Fit Forever? And the answer is yes. And if you hadn't already noticed, there is a new procedure. Well, yeah, it's new. So we no longer ask you guys to see a doctor and have them sign the form. All we require is the waiver. So if there's somebody who's interested, even somebody who's already on this call who maybe hasn't signed the waiver but would like to work with Becca, you're more than welcome to. When you send the message of interest, I will already know whether or not that you've been enrolled. So if that's something that you need to do, I will reach out to you and make sure that you have a waiver and get that signed before you start working with Becca. But that won't stop you. It won't put you in the back of the line or anything. So that's not something you would need to worry about.
I see someone called me out and saying meat and potatoes. Yes, you can eat meat and potatoes.
Okay, so this one I thought you might want to respond to. Does
Sure.
this only include food planning and macros, or does it include a workout plan as well?
Yeah, sure. So at the very basic level, if you're not currently exercising, what I like to do is just get you started on the nutrition right now to see how your body responds. But if you're one of those people who is, sitting on the edge of their seat, like, oh, I got to go to the gym, I got to go, we can definitely incorporate that. And then I am a personal trainer as well. So we can talk, if you want to do like an individualized plan, that's fine. And then Janelle, I'll lean on you for this a little bit. I do know that prior, I was able to work with people on a one-to-one basis once or twice, but because of COVID, I'm not sure if I can do that. But the option's there. It just might be a case-to-case basis.
It would be on a case-to-case basis. And we have other opportunities for people to work out kind of with you, so to speak. We have pre-recorded fitness classes, we have outdoor classes, we have Zoom classes. We have this opportunity to kind of zoom in and do a little bit longer of a session if you have other things you want to work on. If you really need to have a session where you need to learn something in particular, definitely it will be on a case by case basis. And Becca and I will work on something to make that happen if and when that issue comes up. It is our hope with UC Living Fit Forever, because our program already focuses on fitness, that it would be easy for you to find fitness options that would work into your day, into your life, and find trainers, which all of your class leaders are personal trainers. So we would hope that it would be easy for you to find a way to fit fitness into your life through UC Living Fit Forever. And Becca can always help you kind of figure out which way that works best for you in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do see a question here. How long is the program? It's for at least 3 months, and it really just depends on what your goals are. And with that being said too, the intensity at which you and I communicate about your goals is also up to you. So during our first session, it's a half an hour so that we can really get to know each other, and I can understand, how much time do you have available in your schedule? What are your goals? How long are you thinking you want to work towards these goals? Is it short term? Is it long term? So really, I wish I could give a more specific answer, but it really depends on what you need, the individual. I do see one question here from Susan. I typically cut the healthy carbs, potatoes and rice in order to have dessert. Is this the idea or not quite? Well, you probably guessed it. The answer is it depends. So so you'll have a set amount of macronutrients, and carbohydrates is one of those macronutrients. When you're first starting out on the fat loss journey, honestly, it doesn't really matter what types of carbohydrates you're eating as long as you meet that macronutrient level. Once your body has responded for months, 3 to 6 months, sometimes 8 months, your body might start to stall in its fat loss because you've lost so much. And at that point, we can look at the types of carbohydrates that you're eating. You might need to take out some of the starchy carbohydrates and replace it with simple carbs. It really just depends. But it is kind of the idea, I guess, like my example from Sunday. The lava cake at McCooney's, when I looked at the macronutrient composition, it had a significant amount of carbohydrates. So I knew that what I typically eat for breakfast, the tortilla, has a lot of carbohydrates. So just in the practice of tracking my food, I knew that if I had the tortilla in the morning, that I might be able to have the lava cake at night, but that meant no other carbohydrates throughout the day. And I like my carbs, and I didn't want to do that.
Okay, I got to know, what did you end up having for breakfast?
Oh gosh. Let's see. Hang on. Oh, I had my eggs because that's primarily fat and protein. And then I actually had for the first time cactus. I had some cactus. Not like, I don't know, it's edible cactus. I don't know.
So don't go eating cactuses out of your planters,
Right.
people. Don't just pick up a cactus, okay?
Yeah. Has a lot of fiber in it. Yeah, but be careful.
All right. Do you see this question here at the end? Is the behavior of planning ahead key to this program?
Okay.
So let's
There's two.
start
Okay.
there.
All right.
Yeah.
Inherently, yeah. But the more that you keep track of the foods that you're eating, the more you'll start to notice patterns of foods that you eat. So my guess is that you probably have your favorite foods that you kind of stick around. Maybe every once in a while you'll reach out to a new food. But because of that consistency, you'll start to know the composition of the foods that you're eating. And you'll be able to like now I don't have to plan ahead. I just know. I put in my food as I eat. Now the caveat to that is if I am going to eat like let's say, I'm going to go over to my friend's house later for a dinner. I don't know what they're cooking. I don't know if there's going to be alcohol that I'm going to want to drink. I don't know. And so, at the beginning of the day, I am going to kind of take it easy a little bit with my macronutrients. There's probably going to be a lot of fat because people tend to cook with a lot of fat. So inherently, yes, it's kind of like planning ahead, but it gets easier and easier to do that as time goes on. I hope that answered the question.
That was great. How quickly will your body stall if you have a lot of fat to lose?
It depends. Oh, and I see the cactus. I think that's the cactus right there. That the word is
No
that cactus.
polys?
I think
Okay.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think so. Okay, so it depends on you actually and your body. So my journey, for example, I was at a deficit for like 10 months and I was doing fine. And then all of a sudden my body stalled. And backwards, it's because I wasn't eating enough. And as soon as I added calories, I'm actually in a little bit of a surplus now. I'm actually losing fat again, but that's just me. Some people, it takes like a month or two to get their body to respond to the amount of food that they're eating before you start to lose the weight. For some people, it happens within the first 2 weeks. It really is just playing around with what works for you and also looking at other things besides the number on the scale. You have to think about how you're feeling, your hunger level, your stress level. And part of the check-ins every week will be to take some measurements, 3 measurements, your chest, your waist, and your hips. I've added in a heavy lifting routine for myself, which is probably why I was getting so hungry. Okay. And so the weight on the scale is just creeping down now, but my body composition is changing. I'm losing like a quarter of an inch to a half an inch every single week. So you also have to measure progress differently there too, in terms of stalling.
But also it's good for people to know that if they don't have a tape measure, that that's something that they might want to make sure to go ahead and get. And I found mine that I use at the dollar store. So it's not really something that's really crazy and hard to find, but it is nice to have, especially if you're going to be measuring yourself regularly.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm just looking at the rest of these chats. It is 10 till, so I understand if some of you need to go. We're going to continue and just answer a couple more questions while we have a second. Just for those of you that need to go, I would like to say thank you for being here. And if you have any questions, please reach out by email. And if you're ready to get started right away, I do expect that once we get off this call, I should have at least 5 people who have already signed up. I don't know if maybe we need to put that slide up about what they need to do right away one more time, just so those people who haven't sent their email yet can do that right now.
Sure.
And then we have some conversation going on about cactus. Some people's neighbors have tasty cactuses in their yard. Yes, thank you, Patty. It doesn't matter what was for breakfast as long as there was room for lava cake. Now everybody wants lava cake. I want to try cactus.
It's really actually good. I thought it was going to taste like okra,
Hmm.
but it did not. Okra, I have a hard time with because it's slimy sometimes. But it wasn't like that. It was a lot better.
So, Becca, one person missed the beginning, which I will say again, if you missed any portion of the presentation, by the beginning of next week, you can find it on the Healthy UC Davis YouTube channel. But the question is about your credentials, Becca, if you
Yeah.
just want to shoot those off really quick for
Sure.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am a certified personal trainer from NFPT, and I'm also a certified nutrition coach through Working Against Gravity. Um, I also have a master's in business administration, if that matters. But yeah.
Um, if someone had 80 to 100 pounds to lose, is short-term fast results or long-term slow loss better?
Well, they're different journeys. So, rapid fat loss is a thing. You can totally lose that fat rapidly. But part of flexible dieting is a behavior change. And so, typically, when you go on a quote unquote diet and you rapidly lose fat, it's the part of getting off of that diet and then getting to like a healthy routine that most people struggle with. So, a lot of times people end up gaining that weight back. With a more long-term journey, you start to develop habits and healthy thinking, healthy relationship with food that tends to make that fat loss more sustainable over a longer period of time. I can't see the chat anymore, so help me out.
It's okay. Some people are wanting to have margaritas and mini marshmallows for lunch.
I had some mini marshmallows last night, actually. Yeah, it's totally possible. Margarita, I gotta wait until 5. Well, actually, tonight I gotta wait until late.
All right. Well, that takes us to the end of our fat loss health coaching lunch and learn. Thank you again for being here. I hope that you have the chance to check out the email address and make sure to send that message over of your interest. Yep. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Thank you. See some of you later.
You're welcome. And if you do have any questions, again, please make sure to just send that in an email and we'll get back to you.